11,000 years ago, someone crawled into a chamber cut from solid rock deep in the hills of southeastern Turkey and left behind a message. We are only now learning to read. Picture the room. 11 stone pillars standing in a silent circle, a floor of bare bedrock, and rising out of the wall beside them, a carved head, its neck stretching into the chamber as if leaning forward to see who has come. Its body is a serpent, coiling down into the stone. Its face is turned to stare at anyone who enters. No one sat in that room for 11,000 years. Not since before farming, before pottery, before writing, the wheel, the pyramids, or the first city on Earth. This is Karahan Tepe, and almost everything about it breaks the story we were taught about how civilization began. For over a century, the textbooks agreed on one simple order of events. First, humans learned to farm. Then, with full bellies and settled villages, they finally had the time and the surplus to build temples, to carve monuments, to invent everything we call civilization. Farming first, gods later. That was the rule, and for 100 years, almost no one questioned it. Karahan Tepe snaps that rule in half, because the people who carved this chamber had no farms, no crops in the ground, no metal in their hands. They were hunter-gatherers, chasing wild animals across these hills with tools of stone and bone. And somehow, these so-called primitive people quarried, carved, and raised something that we, with all our machines, still struggle to explain. So who were they? What were they building out here, in the middle of nowhere, before any of the things that were supposed to make it possible? Stay with me, because the deeper the archaeologists dug, the stranger it got. Let's go back to the beginning, not to a shovel, but to a shape on a hillside. In 1997, a researcher named Bahattin Çelik was surveying the dry country east of the city of Şanlıurfa. Walking the arid ground, he noticed the tops of stones pushing up through the dirt. Not natural stones, worked ones, carved. He recorded the site, marked it on a map, and moved on. And then, for more than 20 years, Karahan Tepe simply waited. A secret buried a few feet beneath the Turkish soil, while the world walked over it and never knew. Then, in 2019, a team led by the archaeologist Necmi Karul began to dig. And what came out of the ground stopped them cold. To understand why, you need to know what was sitting just over the horizon. Only 35 kilometers away stands Gobekli Tepe, the site that had already rewritten prehistory. Its great rings of T-shaped pillars, carved with foxes and scorpions and vultures, had proven that hunter-gatherers built monuments thousands of years before they were supposed to be capable of it. Karahan Tepe was expected to be its little sister, a smaller echo of the same idea. A footnote. It was not a footnote. In some ways, it was more. Here is the first thing the surface never tells you. At Karahan Tepe, the builders did not simply stack stones on the ground. They carved entire rooms out of the living bedrock. Those 11 pillars were cut from the same solid rock as the floor beneath them. Pillars and ground, a single continuous piece of stone. No gap, no seam, no joins. And that means something brutal. When you carve a pillar out of the bedrock itself, you cannot make a single mistake. You cannot quarry a new one and drag it over. You cannot glue a cracked column back together. Every cut is final. One slip of the tool, one fracture in the wrong direction, and months of work are ruined forever. They accepted that risk, 11 times over, working with nothing but stone and bone in the 9th millennium before Christ. Now think about what that takes. Not just skill, planning, patience, a shared vision held by many people across a long stretch of time with no written plans to pass it down. These were not desperate survivors scratching out an existence. They were designers. And then there is the head. Set into the wall of the chamber, that carved face emerges from the rock, its neck stretched out as if straining to lean into the room, the long body of a serpent trailing down behind it. And getting to it was no accident either. To reach the chamber, you climbed through a narrow opening and down steps cut into the stone, descending into the dark. A channel had been carved across the floor to carry water through the room. So, picture the full experience. You lower yourself through a tight gap. You step down into a cold, dark space. There is water moving at your feet. 11 pillars surround you in the gloom. And out of the wall, a face leans toward you, watching. This was not a house. It was not a storeroom. It was built to make you feel something. Fear. Smallness. 11,000 years ago, before farming, before writing, someone engineered an experience. They understood how to use stone and darkness and water to move the human heart, and they did it on purpose. That is the truth Karahan Tepe forces on us. Hunter-gatherers who carved rooms from bedrock, who raised pillars they could never repair, who designed a chamber to overwhelm anyone who entered it, and it should be enough to rewrite the textbooks. If people with no farms and no metal built all of this, then the old timeline, farming first and temples later, cannot be right. Something drove these wanderers to move mountains of stone before they ever planted a single seed. And what that something was, is one of the biggest questions in all of human history. But here is the strange part. The chamber, the pillars, the head in the wall, all of it may not even be the most shocking thing this site is hiding. Because in 2025, the same ground that buried this place for 100 centuries gave up one more thing, a single carved stone about the height of a person with a human face staring out of it. A face that made headlines around the world and changed what Karahan Tepe means all over again. If you think the chamber was the strangest part of Karahan Tepe, wait until you see what the archaeologists pulled out of the earth in 2025. That story is waiting in the video on screen right now. Thanks for watching. If you want more real mysteries from the past, the kind with actual answers waiting in the ground, subscribe and stick around.